I think we just jump right into it. So you had mentioned to me about struggling with addiction
Yep.
in the past. When did that start? How old were you when you kind of got messed up? Not messed
Well,
up.
I mean, I started like drinking and doing, like drugs heavily, like in high school. Probably even like I started drinking like in probably middle school. And then drugs, it's the one thing I finally have learned. I mean, I learned it a little while ago, but like when my parents always said, you are who you hang out with. And like I guess it's finally, it became noticeable after, a lot of poor decisions and things like that. So I started drinking and doing a lot of I was going to school on acid,
Wow.
taking acid in school, selling it, selling mushrooms. I didn't get in every once in a while. I would get into some of the other, coke and things like that. But I mean, pretty bad in high school. And then that's yeah. I mean, I don't know how far you want me to keep playing into things, but it was like that's essentially what helped push me to get the heck out of here and go into join the military, because I just had I had jail time hanging over my head.
Is this all the way back into middle school or
Yeah,
high
this
school?
is back in I graduated in 01. So like back in I was 18 years old. I was 18 in my senior year.
Where did you go to high school?
Elk River.
Okay.
So yeah, I was doing some pretty, waking up, bumpers hanging off the car, driving in ditches, don't remember things like that. And it's kind of, that was like pre-military. And then after I came back is when I kind of started getting even worse.
So it kind of got better for a little bit.
Yep. I joined, got in, and then did my time in the military, got hurt, and then I was medically discharged from, it was honorable, but medical discharge. I dislocated my left patella like 12 times at the time. So then
you didn't tear it or like rupture it?
Nope. It kept dislocating. All the ligaments were attached. The tendons were fine. And they told me I could have surgery, but then it was like, it might make it better, it might not. I mean, the VA doesn't always give the best.
I've heard that experience many times over.
So
from high school, so middle school, so some of the drug stuff started like early middle school?
Yep.
What, and you think was it mostly just like the crowd you're hanging out with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously that, and I just made poor decisions, I'm not blaming it on the people, but it also, it's true if you hang out with, I would drink and stuff like that, but I wasn't constantly, I remember the first time I did heroin, and it was one of those things where it was just, I was around it enough, and then it eventually became normalized. I remember the first time I smoked crack with that same guy, and it's like...
This is a friend from all the way from middle school into high school?
Yeah, from high school. And it just became so normalized because I was always around, and I was like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. And I was like, I was drunk. We were actually at a buddy's funeral, and from alcohol, we buried so many people from our high school, from suicide, alcohol, drugs, drinking and driving, things like that. And we were at a funeral, and that was the first time I did heroin, was drinking at a buddy's funeral, and started off
just trying
to
feel better from...
Right.
So where did you go to basic training?
At Great Lakes in basically Chicago.
And that was after senior year of high school?
Yep. So I got in trouble, and then I had some jail time and stuff hanging over my head. I had to do a little bit. I had to do a couple weeks in jail, which got reduced down because I basically was like, I need to get out of here. So I went in 2001 and started get everything ready. And then I joined in March of 2002.
What
So-
sparked the military? Was it something out of the blue or something?
I mean, 9/11 was definitely played a big part in that. And then, I mean, that and just being a shithead, you know, I just had to get
some direction.
I just had to get out and like kind of like start doing something on my own, you know, and I mean, I knew I had to do something. So it was kind of a little bit of both where it was like, I want to get out of here. And I also want to, you know, kind of, it's just different. Cause when I was younger, like I was not very patriotic, you know,
Yeah.
I was Rage Against the Machine, which they're a great band, but like I used to have like upside down flags. Like, I mean, I served in the military, but the government isn't somebody that we won't even go into a whole tangent on that, but you know.
So how long is basic training in Chicago?
12 weeks.
And
Or was it? Yeah, I think it was like, it's like around maybe 9 to 10, somewhere around that. I think we were there for like right around towards 12 weeks.
And this is when you're like 19 or 18?
Yeah, I was, 2002. So I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 still.
Were there was there a family influence to go to the military, or was it more just like it just kind of happened?
It just kind of happened. I just knew it was time to go. So I don't think they wanted me to, but it was.
When you're 18, how big were you when you're 18? Like size wise, because you're like 250 right now.
I'm dropped. So I was last week like 270. I've been doing my carb cycling and everything, so I was down to like 262 this morning. But I fluctuate 10 pounds in a week if I start eating like carb cycling and start doing a little pain. I've been doing cardio every day on the stair stepper, but when I graduated high school, I was 180 pounds.
Because you're like 6'6", aren't you? What? Okay,
so pretty skinny.
Super skinny.
Yeah.
After basic training, because you were telling me before we got down to do this about the Navy and working on submarines, so I'd love to hear more about like basic training into the Navy and some of your first early like experiences with the Navy.
Okay.
Any cool stories?
Yeah, I mean, so I joined and I went in as like it's called the Striker. It's undesignated, which means I could essentially go to my assigned sub, which was the USS Montpelier. It's like a SSN 765. It's a submersible ship nuclear is what it stands for, is SSN.
USN?
USS Montpelier.
Well, it's definitely worth looking up.
And then, so I got assigned to them in 2002. Well, I made it out there, I believe. Yeah, it was right around July 2002. And it's Montpelier, Vermont. Like every sub mostly are named after like a city capital. Like there's a USS Minneapolis, St. Paul, Scranton. There's a bunch of different ones, but so we were stationed out of Virginia. I got there, like I said, right around June or July. I mean, it's been so long now. They're I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but like they have like Latin names, and it's like Audaces Fortuna Juvat. It means like fortune favors the bold. That's like the Montpelier's logo thing there.
And what is Montpelier's is what? That's the sub?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that look like, is that the one? Is that how it?
I mean, yeah, it's essential. That's it's a Los Angeles class attack submarine. So there's like, now there's older ones. So like it's Los Angeles, and I think the newer ones were, God, I've done so little research on them anymore, but there's almost like groups in like when they come out, like Los Angeles class, and then afterwards was I'm blanking on it, but there's like different classes, and then there's like SSN, which is submersible ship nuclear, and then there's SSBNs, and those are what we call boomers. Those are ballistic, so submersible ship ballistic nuclear. The SSBNs are bigger. and they carry the nuclear weapons, where we just have a nuclear reactor. They both have nuclear reactors, but the BNs are the ones that basically go out in the middle of the ocean and just wait for, God forbid,
Yeah.
a nuclear war.
So wait, so they can have a nuclear reactor but not have a missile?
So we have a nuclear. So the reason they're called nuclear is because it's a nuclear reactor. That's how it's powered.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's like the engine.
Yep.
Okay.
There's the engine. There's the nuclear side of it, and then there's a diesel. There's still a diesel motor on there, so we can run off the diesel. But they don't. We generally don't do that as much anymore. It's quieter, but you have to charge the batteries and do that. You have to. It's a long story. You have to come up to periscope depth.
What's periscope depth?
Like it's around. I don't know
That's
how much
like
I'm able to say, but
The
it's
the depth that
the
you
depth
need,
where
you can see.
Yeah, I think I'm able to say it's like right around like I think I can say like 60 feet. So
Well, I was just more curious, like what that term actually means. It
so
just
like
means, like,
yeah.
to
So we
view above
basically
surface?
we go to a deep enough point where the ship is underwater, but we raise a snorkel mask, which comes up out of the sail, the top part of the sub, and then that snorkel mask is what brings in oxygen for the diesel. And that's how we recharge the batteries.
Is it almost safe to compare it to how marine mammals need to come up to get air and then similar
Yep. But
effect?
and yeah, we can just stay underwater so you can remain like more like hidden.
How long do you guys submerge for before they come up and do that?
If we don't use that's
It's
why
so big.
yeah, they're like 360 feet long and then like 33 feet in diameter, if I still remember correctly. But so like we normally don't run the diesel, but on the reactor with we bring on all our water and stuff with we have scrubbers and burners for the air, water, reverse osmosis on there, but we could stay under until we ran out of food.
Wow. Which could be how long?
Like on deployment, we went on and we lined the hallways with like cans. You walked on cans, like the big cans, so you would put them all through the hallways.
Like food cans?
Mm-hmm.
Just as its own storage area?
Yep. When we filled
space?
all our other storage areas, they would line the hallways with cans. So it was like I was already tall, and then you're standing on top of like a 6-inch can.
How tall are the passageways?
There's some that are I could probably get close.
Does that orange the picture up there? Does that look?
That's. Some of these are. It's hard to. They're not I would usually have to walk with my head down a little bit, and then with cans on there, even more, my senior chief was a shorter guy. I think probably 5. We always called them floaties, but 5'7", 5'8". He had huge arms, so we called him. Yeah, because he had big arms and he was super. So we called them floaties, well, because the little kid floaties on your arm.
That makes sense.
So, but I think he was I don't know. I don't want to insult a guy 5'7", 5. That's cruise mess right there.
Short man syndrome.
But he would hit his head on when we were walking on top of cans on the lights. So it was pretty short.
So where do you go after Virginia? Where's the first deployment?
So in 2003, we would do a few little different trips, like Cape Canaveral. We would go down to there a lot.
Where is that, Florida?
Yep. And you go down to the Bahamas, and that's where the subs and stuff will play. It's they essentially would. It's you learn how to. We fire dummy torpedoes and stuff out of the tubes.
So it's
you play,
not blowing up anything, but you're still practicing aiming and shooting.
Yep. And GPS, it's all guided by GPS. So yeah, we would go down to the Bahamas, do that, and then that's kind of when we do some the high speed turns and stuff like that, and then we would come up into Cape Canaveral, and then in 2003 3 is when it was January, I believe. We left for it was January, like early
So like a couple
January.
years after 9/11.
Yep. That's when we deployed to go overseas. So we went from Virginia through like the Straits of Gibraltar in Spain, right there at the bottom of Spain, and then went up. Our first port was Access, Turkey.
So you just go straight across the Atlantic Ocean?
It took us like, God, I don't know, 2 weeks.
How fast does a submarine travel on like a constant speed?
What I'm able to like really say is like, I believe I'm supposed to it's been so long since I don't know how much. They always change things because like a news crew will go on a boat and they wouldn't cover their deep depth gauges. So then you were supposed to say in excess of like 500 feet and like in excess of 30 knots. So I believe like that's where we're able to tell people. So, but like 30 knots is only like a mile and a half an hour.
Can you go back to that map for a second, Jeff? So you just shoot straight across the ocean east to that little opening between Spain and Morocco?
Yep, that's the Straits of Gibraltar.
Oh, cool. Gibraltar is Spain? Consider, or what's it? What country?
I'm gonna say not even sure. I believe it. I think it is part of Spain. Yeah.
That looks like it'd be a cool place to visit.
And then we went. So from there we went up that into Turkey, up into, I don't even know where exactly Access, Turkey is, and that was like our first port, and things were definitely starting to get heated. You know,
so like you go underneath Greece?
Yep. And that was one of the ports we stopped in on the way back. So we went into Turkey, and then after Turkey.
So how long did it take to get over to Turkey?
I mean, it was probably about a week or so.
How long are you on this deployment from Virginia to Turkey to like returning? How long?
So we were out for, it was about 6-7 months.
Okay.
So I think we got back in, I just don't remember I got out, God, what has it been now? 17 years or something. But so we were gone about 6 to 7 months. And then I think it was after Turkey we went down, we got to go through the Suez Canal, and then that's when we went into the Persian Gulf after Turkey. So
do you go south?
Yep. So like right there where Cairo is, we go right there. That's the Suez Canal, and that goes down into the Red Sea.
You can get the submarine through that little space.
So, aircraft carriers. Remember that big ship that got stuck last year that stopped all the cargo? Was that last year? I believe. That huge. That's where it got stuck. That was.
So that's a major water highway.
Oh yeah, major. You know, it's aircraft carriers go through there, which are a lot bigger than the sub. And from what I've heard is, like some spots of the Suez Canal, is the aircraft carriers like sides hang over land. So if you were to fall off, you would fall off into water. It's from what I've heard. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, tight. But it's there was spot. I mean, we were. Like I would stand, it was called Sail Watch. So I'd be on top with, I had a M16 203 grenade launcher, and then my buddy was up there with the M60, and I mean there was Egypt soldiers and stuff. I could throw a baseball to them it's on some of the part, and like they were standing up there with AKs and.
But it's like that territory. I mean, like there's obviously an agreement to be able to go through there. Like you just don't go onto land. You can use the.
Right.
How does that work with like? I mean, we're obviously allied with this area, right? To be able to use the.
Yeah.
Use the area.
Mm-hmm.
So
And like we had to go through with like a frigate. It's a different type of Navy ship. Just got bigger guns than, like, we were pretty much through there. I mean, through the Suez Canal, we're like sitting docks.
Suez Canal is just a narrow path by Cairo, and then it opens.
Yep,
up
and then it opens into the Red Sea.
So where do you guys go from there?
So we went down the Red Sea, and then we went up through that Gulf of Aden, and then up through the Gulf of Oman, and then we went into that Persian Gulf. Yep,
and that's then you just hang out in there.
We pulled into you see that little island down south a little bit. It's Bahrain. We pulled into Bahrain there for I don't know, probably 5 or 6 days, something like that.
You gonna go off the ship?
Yeah, yep. So we got to see, like, I mean, it's different. So Bahrain is, from what I was told, that is where a lot of people from
cool,
the different, like, actual inland, they come and they believe Allah cannot see them sin there, is what I've been told.
Say that again?
So Bahrain, what I was told, is an area, and I don't know how true it is, but an area where they believe they cannot sin. That they believe Allah cannot see them sin there. Is, I mean, this was, I don't know, it was, I was, 2000, and I was pretty young, so I don't know if somebody is making that stuff up. But
that's a cool building.
It was just something interesting that I seen. There was a water park there.
Do you have some free time where you can, like,
we got to go out in town? Yeah, we got to go out in town. I actually went to a red. What is that? They had the restaurants all over. It was like Rock, not Red Rock. I keep thinking that Orpheum, but Hard Rock Cafe. So I went to a Hard Rock Cafe in Bahrain.
Oh, cool.
So I think I still have.
Chain?
What's that?
Is that a chain?
Yeah, okay. Yep. There used to be like Hard Rock Cafes all over, like the States and stuff. So I went to we went out there. We went into town. It was definitely different.
So this is like, you said 6 months total?
Yeah.
And is this like 3 months in? How many months in are you in?
We were there in probably, I think the first time, I mean, my guess would be it was somewhere around, actually I know it was in February, right around middle of February. And I mean, that's where it was like some of the places so this was in 2003 before ISIS, right? Mm-hmm. So when we were going out in town, we were told it was like, if you see anybody with black flags, you leave. Well, I mean, then that's what was kind of interesting, was how many years later ISIS came about. They just told us we had to leave if we saw, but we couldn't go to certain American establishments during certain times because of the protests there. They would protest outside like McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, and
like American companies or American
chains. Yep. And like even when we went to hotels, if like people stayed out in town, which I don't think in Bahrain we weren't even allowed to.
Where is this in Bahrain?
I do not know.
Oh, is that in? Wow, it's beautiful.
But yeah, there was times. I mean, like you couldn't, where we would stay out when we could stay out in different towns and like stay out in public. That it was like we couldn't really get dropped off by a cab driver at the same place or where we were staying.
So what do you mean?
So like they were worried if there was too many people in town that they knew were Americans. I mean, they all know we're Americans. Yeah, then they would bomb the hotels.
Jeez.
So
did you? One of the questions I wanted to ask was, do you have any like friends or buddies you made on the ship that you still kind of keep in contact with now?
Yeah, a couple. One of them's my brother-in-law.
Cool.
So
Andrew's brother? No.
My sister married one of my buddies that was on the boat with me.
Oh, cool.
So I still talk to him, and then there's another buddy of mine that is he's an IT guy down in Chicago, and then my other buddy, he's actually a teacher in California.
Cool. And they were both on this submarine with you?
Yep.
Did you guys go on any other deployments together? How many deployments do you go on in total?
So we just went on. I was on the boat for, right around. I mean, it was probably just short of 4 years. We went on this one and that was it. Because then we went into dry dock after this, and that's when they like refuel the ship. So we went to Bahrain, and then we got to go to. That was when on the way back is when we got to go. We got to spend some time in Greece, Suda Bay, Greece, and then Italy, and then they
is on the way back.
Yep, and then rode to Spain as well. Cool. So, and I think that was Turkey, Bahrain, Italy, Greece, and Spain. We got to go to.
So what happens after you get back from this first deployment?
So we got back. And then every so many years, I don't know exactly how many it is, the sub has to, what they do is they bring it into dry dock. That's when we went up to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's right on the border of Kittery, Maine, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Okay. And then they basically take the sub out of water, and it's basically like a whole, they rehaul everything. Like everything kind of gets fixed and worked on, and kind of make sure nothing's broke.
So this is like 6 months in to your. How long do you have to commit to the Navy when you?
I was signed for 4 years.
Okay, so what are like your 3 years after that first deployment like? Like what are you up to? Are you kind of just like not reserve, but
you're still so like even back from deployment in 2003, we'd still go down to Florida. Still did some stuff before we went up there. I think in 2003, I was out to sea like, it had to have been somewhere between 8 and 10 months that year. So we were out a lot.
But just like kind of in the U.S., like between Florida and Maine.
For other than the 6 months, 7 months we were over there, then the other time we would hang around. We'd mostly just hang around like Florida, go down to the Bahamas and things like that.
What's your like responsibilities when you're back here? When still in that 3-year period, like you're on the ship for part of it. Do you have like
so we're
a civilian kind of role through the military?
No, it was all. So I was a torpedo man. So that was my job on the boat. That's why. So we got to shoot Tomahawks in 2003 when we were over there in the Gulf. We got to shoot. So we had vertical launch tubes, and then we also had Tomahawks inside the torpedo room. So we got to shoot. So I was a torpedo man, so I got to do my job when we were over there. So like when we were back in port, it was just working, constant like cleaning.
Do you clean the actual missiles themselves?
No. But like cleaning, like we'd wax the floors. Yeah. We had certain people like would come on board. You'd strip and wax the floors. It was just, you were working in the torpedo room, cleaning everything, getting things.
Torpedo is just.
So that's a Tomahawk cruise missile.
And it doesn't launch from underwater?
Yeah. So that's from a surface ship, but like, so when we were overseas, we'd shoot. Oh. We'd shoot at periscope depth, is where we'd shoot anything from the vertical launch.
So you could practice shooting, but it wouldn't detonate. So it would go out of the water and then go basically hit.
Well, we wouldn't shoot Tomahawk. So there's Tomahawks and then there's torpedoes. Right. Like, so torpedoes are more of like in the water. Tomahawks, torpedoes
stay in the water the whole time. Yep. Tomahawks can do.
Tomahawks
both.
Are the ones that Tomahawks go it through the air.
Okay.
So
they can start in the water.
Yep.
Or you have to be.
You would be 60 feet down. That's where we'd use the vertical launch tubes, or else you can shoot Tomahawks through the torpedo tubes as well.
Did you have any, like, not close calls, but any, even in that first deployment, like I know you mentioned like being in what was that city in Dubai?
Bahrain. Yep.
Did you have any like uncomfortable interactions or like close calls with?
I mean, you figure, well, nobody likes us there at all. So it was, I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I mean, we would pull into like Greece and it was like USA equals swastika spray painted on buildings, kill your officers. Like they don't really like Americans over there. I mean,
the because of stuff from the 90s? Ageless.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, there was one time where it was, they have little boats in the Persian Gulf. And they're called dhows. That's like their little fishing vessels. But what they were doing is they were loading those dhows with HE, it's like high explosive, and then they would ram them into ships.
Like suicide missions?
Yep.
Wow.
And
did any of those happen while you're on deployment, like that you heard of?
We had one coming. I don't know. It was we had one. That was the only time where I was kind of excited. Is it was coming towards our boat.
I'm excited.
And I was in the sail watch, and like I got to load up my grenade launcher, and like if it would have kept coming,
yeah,
I would have. I mean, it would have been interesting,
Rambo
right?
time.
Yeah, right. So,
did you see Rambo? Did you watch Rambo growing up? Did you ever watch those Rambo movies with?
Yeah, yep.
Me and Jeff, remember that movie we watched when we were driving through, you and Joel dropped me off in Lake Tahoe for my internship, and then we're at Joel's friends in Utah, or was it I don't know who it was.
First Blood.
Was it First Blood?
Yeah.
Man, talk about not to transition into fitness and stuff. Like, I'd say like Hugh Jackman in like X-Men,
yep,
when he's just freaking yoked, and then seeing, and I didn't watch Rambo. I should watch him now, but
yeah,
when I just seeing shots of Sylvester Stallone like in
wait,
his
I'll pull it
prime
up.
for Rambo. Let's see some Sylvester Stallone in prime. First Blood. Is that the first movie? First Blood. How many are there? Like 10?
Well, he's done quite a few. I mean, he's still doing them. Didn't he do one like last year or something? 2 years ago, 3 years. He's done quite a few.
Oh, that one to the middle left with the fire behind him. Gosh.
No, I gotta find an actual picture.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to watch, see if we could find on YouTube, Jeff, like a minute long video. Jeez, like a minute long video of some of the Tomahawks being launched or something, if it loads or not. But
Oh look.
So what happened with that close call then? It just it
veered away, and
like a taunt. Then it was like
yeah, I was kind of disappointed. Because I mean, we got to shoot, so I got to like, because I did.
You probably had a lot of practice going in.
Yeah, like when we went off of the coast, so to qualify for the 203, like we went to a army base and you shot like dummy rounds that were like, you'd shoot them at like trucks and things like 100 meters
Grenade
away,
launcher.
things like that. Yeah, and then
sweet.
we got to go into Virginia Beach, and we took like this. It was like a pool noodle, right? And the guys, like when we would go out, so we did it with, I did 4 weeks of training with, they were the old group called Blackwater. Mm-hmm. I think they ended up changing their names.
What is Blackwater? Like
Blackwater was like it was like a, what do you say? They were hired by the government to go overseas, so they were like your first private contractors. I don't know, I shouldn't say first, but they were private contractors that would go overseas. Usually it was like
non-military, but basically military.
Usually ex-special forces.
In like a private sector role.
Yep. So then they would be, but then they had training in North Carolina, so I got to do 4 weeks of training over down at Blackwater, and different courses like SSEW. It was like it was like basically onboard weapons training, and then like FPFT, which was force protection fundamental tactics, and we were using like simunition, which is like you would still use your regular guns, but I think it was just the bolt changes out and you would shoot
airsoft babies.
No, they were actually. It was like it was real brass, but then the tips were like a paint. I mean, they would still make you bleed hitting
sure.
you. So we did a lot of clearing rooms, like SWAT team, like 6 guys going in clearing. They had like Connex boxes. They had their own like little town there that they built for training. Connex boxes
In Virginia?
This is down in North Carolina at
Okay.
Blackwater. And then you would like have people that would hold hostages. You would have to go through and clear rooms, and I mean, you were shooting like each other with the simunition.
Jeez.
You'd have a vest on and a
You
helmet.
go sleeveless, I'm guessing.
No. I wasn't that. I was pretty skinny then. Skinnier, I would say fat skinny is
Did
what
you
you
get
call it.
into? Because were you into working out in high school, or I mean,
No.
I guess when did you really get seriously into lifting? Is that
Probably.
something that helped you with like some of the addiction stuff post military?
So I started lifting probably after I got out a little. I started when I was in for a little bit, but after I got out is kind of when I started.
Does the submarine have like a weight room?
No, you had like there
Just
was
carry
like
your
a
buddies
little
around?
tiny bench with those. Remember those old block dumbbells that like not even dumbbells, but they have like the different colors on them.
Sure.
And you could pick like the 10, 20, or 30
Sure.
or 40.
Like
You'd
a
have
fish it.
Yeah, and then I think we had like one of those old, I don't know if we had a bike. I think we had a bike, and then we had one of those crappy like stair stepper things. So like, but we would have it. That was like in the engine room back in the. So it was hot as it was.
Yeah.
It
Plus,
was
you're
hot.
probably ripping farts in there, and it's
Yeah,
probably stinky
right.
as hell.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to work out on the sub. So.
What? So how many
What
guys?
do you
on the
do
sub-
about farts in a submarine? Like, can
I
you
mean-
room clear it if someone's not?
Oh yeah, I mean they go because they still
because
we
there's
have-
got to be constant ventilation, obviously.
Right, yeah, there's quite a, and it's usually kept pretty cold because everybody stinks too. I mean, we had guys on our
That
boat
makes sense. That totally
'Cause
makes
what are you
sense.
guys
'Cause if it's
eating?
hot, everyone's gonna smell so much worse.
Right, yeah, so yeah, they definitely kept it
What's like the room temp of the sub?
in the like because you figure like in the barracks, I wouldn't say barracks, but like where our berthing rooms were called.
Huh?
It's called berthing.
Ah.
So like that's where there would be like because you'd close off the stench, right, or all the people jerking off to whatever. Like there was some dirty, yeah. So like
Please
there's
don't.
doors, and you would go in, and it was basically 3 racks, all the way down both sides. And what you have is you have so many guys.
How many guys are on the ship?
I
What's
think
like-
there was like 150 to 107, but we'd only bring so many underway because we could only fit so many.
Mhm.
So it was like, I don't know, like 110, 130 is I think a
Do you
guess. But
kind
you
of
hot
know
rack.
everybody?
Yeah, you know everybody. You're pretty close, but well, you have to be too. So it's called hot racking, right? So there's 3 people to 2 beds. So
You like alternate basically?
Yep, and
Clean sheets
so
of
you
that all the
get
time.
oh yeah, you just get into a warm bed every time because somebody was just getting out because you
Gross.
work on an 18-hour shift.
And you're not allowed to shower, right?
No, you can shower once a month. No, no, but what we do is for showers. I mean that was where it was. It's called you would turn the water on, rinse off, shut it off, soap up, get your soap on, and then turn it back on. Rinse off,
To save
and then
water.
you're done. Yeah. So like, because we had to bring on water to make it, and then there was like when we had to get through our water, it was called Hollywood showers. That's when we could take showers and not have to shut off the water.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's luxury.
those were treats then, too, especially if we were turning and you're bumping into the walls and it's cold because it's just like a steel
Oh, right.
tiny little square, and you would always wear flip-flops.
Yeah.
Because there's shower babies, I'm sure, all over the place.
Or athlete's foot.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. So like if you slipped out of your flip-flop,
Does
you were
this look
pissed.
kind of accurate to the setup? I guess maybe similar to.
Yeah, it would look, I mean, pretty close. Yep, because that's the
Any,
reactor in the middle.
Any unidentified encounters out in the deep sea with stuff on like the radar that's like
I mean, when
not
we were
suspicious, but, like,
overseas, there was a lot. Like, there was, we were doing some stuff that like, I honestly like, especially I'm not even supposed to talk, but like, yeah, we were in areas that there was anti-submarine aircraft all over the place, and we were sitting at Paris. So they look for submarines.
Are you guys incognito? Like, are you?
Yeah, we were at periscope depth. Yeah, like I had to, from what we did in 2002, I just signed actually some paperwork talking about. I wouldn't repeat what we did, and
Yeah,
I didn't
you
even.
definitely don't have to.
I knew very, very little because we had some. They're called spooks on the boat, right? So they're like crypto techs, right? They were all very fluent in Arabic, and we were doing. So I had to sign some paperwork. That's when they talk about. Can't really talk about what we did or saw. I mean, I don't know what the hell we were really doing. For 99 years of the rest of your life.
Oh wow! Do you have? Is there much? Can you see out of the submarine? There's no like glass, right? It's all.
Oh yeah, it's all windows.
It is all windows.
No, there's none.
Yeah.
No. No, there is.
Just the periscope,
They would let us do. We could like get close and pet baby whales and. No, there is.
But
yeah,
the walls are like LED screens that show the outside.
Right.
So I think
just so you could get the whole experience.
So it's like the periscope and then the radar, basically.
Yep.
And then you guys are just
Radar and sonar.
So what's like a day on the sub like? That's a good
Shit.
question.
So like when we're underway, it's 18-hour days. So it's like 6 hours of work, 6 hours of off time. Like that's where you do like your if I call it like chores. Like usually you would have to get off, you'd clean, you'd eat, you'd clean, or if you had any division training, and then do some laundry after that, depending on how much time you had, and then you'd get, sometimes we called it, so like if we didn't have anything to do, if you were super tired and you didn't have to do any cleaning, we'd go to bed right after, so we'd actually get 12 hours of sleep, and we called that going coast to coast, because it didn't happen because they would always run drills. So we're running fire drills, and then like what sucked is you'd get off a watch, you'd do all this cleaning, you'd do your laundry in this crappy little washer and dryer, and then you would take a shower in those nasty showers, and then you would lay down and you'd just be in like your boxers and a t-shirt, and you would have to hang they're called poopy suits, right? That's what we call them. It's a one-piece underway suit. Yeah, that's the official term. And you'd hang your suit on your rack, on your outside of your rack, and then you'd go to sleep, and then they would run. Oh yeah, that's the sinks, and that's what we called if you're pissed off at people, the toilets have ball valves on them, so you'd take a dump in there, and then you would drain the water out.
Gross.
And then you would just leave it just to marinate.
I can't imagine how good that 12 hours of sleep would have been.
Yeah, it didn't happen very often. Right. So it was the worst was when you would finally like lay down, and then they would run like a fire drill. And when they run a fire drill, the ventilation shuts off, obviously, because if there's a fire, they don't want to be pumping smoke all over the boat.
So then does oxygen shoot down and you're like lightheaded?
No, but so you have to run to cruise mess. You have to tie your boots and button up everything. And then like what they would do is they would send people so throughout the sub.
Is that similar to how?
No, those must be super old pictures. Ours were like they have little curtains in between, and like they're all divided, and that's kind of how the racks would, but they were all kind of like that. That looks like a corner, and see how they have like little curtains, and then how they have padlocks.
All the sound.
They have padlocks on there.
Yeah.
Because you lift that up, and that's where you'd store your clothes. So
almost
all
like
your clothes, unless you could hide them in your division somewhere. But yeah, then they would run a fire drill, and it was like you just got out of the shower, and then you have to put on these oxygen, like these masks, right, that have a hose connected to them. Wow. And then throughout the sub, there was like these little ports. There was like a non-skid pad on the floor, and then you could connect into the airlines. So that's how we still had I think they're called the OCBAs, which is like what firefighters use for like the breathing apparatuses. But then we had these things, and they'd plug in, and that's how we would like pretend fight fires and stuff. But it would suck because it was hot. Back by the engine, it's like 120 degrees at least back there when the engine's still running and stuff like that, and there's no air conditioning blowing. So then you're all sweaty again, and it's pretty.
Is there a fire?
Yeah,
drill
those masks right there.
Is there a fire drill every day then?
So the whole point, like,
do you even know what time of the day it is?
Those were awful. No.
Except for just the routine of
right.
What was your captain like?
Our captain was Captain Frake. He was a pretty cool guy. I mean, quiet, but he was a good guy.
Leader.
Yeah, good leader. But what was I gonna say? I was saying something.
So you're really pissed at someone you connect.
Oh, you would see people that like they wouldn't be able to
apart.
find those connections, and then they would cheat and they would pull their mask away from because you'd pass out.
Yeah,
there was no oxygen in that thing. So like, what we would do is like before drills, if we knew a fire drill was going to happen, we would take zip ties and we would zip tie people's like arms and legs on their poopy suits when they were hanging outside of their rack. So then they would like go to try to put on their poopy suit, and they wouldn't be able to get their arm or leg through it.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, those were. There was definitely times we were probably very unprofessional that we would screw around with each other. You like wouldn't let them plug into their air tubes, into the connection. Like
Johnson's passed out.
I mean, if you think about it too, if somebody passed out with one of those on, they would suffocate and die if nobody was around, because but that's when people would cheat and lift it off of their face. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So that was.
So we were talking the other day. You were talking about how. Did you go to college and after the Navy a little bit?
After, yeah.
Where did you go to school? Was this the next thing after the 4 years?
So I got out and then went on to my next hobby of being a drug addict for a while, and then after that is when
was that back in
when I got clean. Yeah. Well, like I moved back. Got out of I ended up like moving in with. I ended up buying a place in Connecticut.
Oh, cool.
Met this girl, bought a house or a townhouse. That went great for like 6 months after we bought the place, and then I got out of there, moved back home, and then
because were you born in Elk River?
I was born actually in Rockford, and then we moved to Elk River like right when I was in like, God, I don't know, 4th grade or something like that. And that's where I graduated from.
So you're in Connecticut for a stint, and you moved back home, and then you kind of you fell back into some old, same old people, or just bad old habits, new people?
Same, different, but same people. And then, then started the heroin, quite a few buddies, passed away, drinking and driving, motorcycles and drinking, and then started down that path, and then did that for a while, probably too long. Was there like a wake up call, or just like a subtly over time, like over and over, just realize, or just my one buddy, he hit a telephone pole on a snowmobile going about 60, and he jumped off at the last second, and they said he like helicoptered for like 75 feet and then cartwheeled for like 30, broke like almost every bone from his waist down. He had like cadaver ligaments in his toes.
Did he survive that?
He did. Was in a wheelchair for, God, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe a little bit more. And then he was struggling. He was a good friend of mine, and then I started hanging out with him, and he was like, he asked me to go to church with him once, and I was like, sure, you know, like I was still drinking and doing all my, I mean, like dumb stuff. I shared a crack pipe with somebody that had AIDS, you know, like they're dead now. Like half of the people we knew, like our dealer was you know, he was in prison for 19 years or something for murder, you know. It was
Before
like,
or after?
this was after I was in. So like when I moved back,
he went to jail after you were...
before, so
okay.
previous, before, he was like a 50, 60-year-old guy. Yeah, so bad crew, like doing stupid, and I was up till 2, 3 in the morning smoking crack and doing heroin, and then like we'll go home, go to bed for a couple hours, and then get up at 5 o'clock to go to work. And then
where were you working?
I was working at a so I was kind of doing back and forth stuff, and then I was working at a welding shop. And then, I mean, I was going in there at first for a while, and it was like, I mean, I was sick in the morning, you know, I'd go and throw up. I wasn't sleeping. I'd go out, we would start so early that I would be able to, like, at 10 o'clock was like our lunchtime, and I would go take a nap in my car for 10 minutes, and then like wake up and then go out and get off work at 2 o'clock. That was like our 8-hour day, and then it was like time to do it all over again.
Yeah, because the withdrawal, I'm sure,
right,
is kicking in.
So then I met him, and he asked me to go with him, and then like I just kind of, things just started like making sense. Like there's just more to life. And
so tie me back in. So this isn't the buddy that fell out, that got hurt on the snowmobile, right?
That's him.
This guy? This is after?
So he was he moved back home with his mom in Monticello. And like we just, like I hung out with him every day. Like I would help him, take care of him. We'd go hang out at his house. He got sober from essentially from that and going to church. And then I just kind of tagged along. And,
did you guys go to any like AA stuff together? Or just church and
so like
out?
his mom was big into AA. So his mom, he grew up in like, it was tough. Like he would tell me stories like, from the like second grade, he fed himself dinner and put himself to sleep because his mom was, you know, who's now a great lady. Like I will get into that, but like super awesome lady, was very helpful and tried helping him all the time. But back when he was younger, you know, he was alone. Like his dad had left, and like she would have like boyfriends for a while and stuff like that. But yeah, he had a rough.
You meet this guy middle school, high school, or after the military?
It was like, yeah, probably 9th or 10th grade, somewhere around that.
So you guys probably weren't that close until, or weren't?
We were like really good friends before I left. Even.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys
so
kind of
like,
reconnected. When you came back, had he already had the accident, or you came back and he had the accident?
I came back, and then he had the accident.
So after that, how long was it until you went to school, and where did you go to school?
So after that, it was probably 6 months or so.
After Connecticut,
Yeah,
come back.
yeah. I came back in like August of 2006. Then I got into my addiction phase for a while, and then I got sober in probably, God, I don't know, 2008. Of like sometime summer of 2008, and then I started school January of 2009 at Minnesota School of Business.
Okay, is that in Minneapolis?
It is. There was like, I started there. They were kind of all over the place. I went to the one in Plymouth, and that's where I met Andrea.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
And then you started with business, and then you switched.
So I went in for it's the Minnesota School of Business, but they had like a veterinarian side, they had a health and exercise fitness side, and then like I think they had, I'm not sure, but it was like almost like the law enforcement, but I'm not 100% sure. But
did that ever interest you? Maybe law enforcement?
Yeah, but like the thing that was a pain was like back then and still even now, like with some of my past,
Right.
I was kind of
Hurdles.
frowned upon, you
Mhm.
know, like, I mean, I remember the one guy was like, man, I would love to go and knock doors with you, but like I had tattoos, you know, and they're like, back then they were super picky sometimes about like where I could, you know, where you could have tattoos and, you know, so it was kind of one thing that like it was possible, but it wasn't going to be super easy from some of my past stuff on my record.
So then after a couple semesters you got into, did you do some undergrad stuff and then, not undergrad, but did you do some general stuff and then decided you want to go into health and fitness stuff?
So I went right in, started at health and exercise. So I just went and I mean, I was doing my, my generals are essentially, you know, like your liberal arts, and then mixing that with just the core classes that I had to do while working full time as well. So
What were you doing for work?
that was when I was still working at that medical. I still worked welding shop. Yep.
Did you get some pretty good skills from that shop to like carry over into everyday man stuff, dad stuff?
From welding?
Things
Yeah,
you
I
need
mean, I
equipment.
learned. I did a lot of like the shipping and receiving, but like we would, you know, I'd get done. We always had the ability to like sit on a table and practice. Well, I took a metal shop class in high school, so we were doing like wire feed, arc welding, MIG and TIG in high school. And then like I got to do it a little bit at that welding place too. And then yeah, I mean, it was my boss there was like the guy that owned it was just a good guy, you know, like when I ended up
Teacher,
leaving
kinda?
there. Yeah, when I ended up leaving there, it was the only time like I had a job that was like I had to start Monday to get it, and it was a lot better paying. And I still remember like going into his office and he was like, man, I don't want to see you go, but I'll never hold you back from ever doing something that's going to make you more successful in life. And it's just always kind of stuck with me. He was a good human being,
Mentor.
you know? Yeah.
And then you were kind of clean from the drugs before school started?
Yep.
Okay.
I got clean in November of 2008.
Cool.
So.
And then after school, and then did you just stay in the area since
So then.
you met Andrea and then...
So I met Andrea in January. And then we started dating in like March or April. And then
That's when you had to start working out really seriously because she had bigger biceps than you did.
right. No. Like I started before that. I started working out when I lived in Connecticut, and then I was doing like I was working out, but like I could move back here, and I was even through my drug stuff, I still would lift a little bit, but like never heavy. But I did a lot of running. Like I would run, you know, 4 to 6 miles, probably
Was
4
basic
times
training
away.
too challenging for you?
No, it was pretty. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It's pretty much just running, push-ups and sit-ups.
Yeah.
But I started running a lot, and then, you know, probably once I got into school is when I like started really lifting, like more for heavy.
Mhm.
You know, I remember like trying to bench 200 pounds, and it was a struggle.
What did you do any personal training after that?
Or
Or did you
no,
incorporate your
no,
degree?
none. I haven't used my degree. So like we joke about
For
it, it's like
yourself, you have.
the only, I mean, I went and I finished. Like I said, I had to prove to myself, like in high school, I was like a 1.4 or 1.7 GPA. And, you know, I always kind of felt like it was like I was the black sheep of the family. Everybody was like, he's never going to do anything, you know? And I was like, well, you know what? I love when people doubt me, because I will shove that back in your face so bad. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it, you know? And
It's a nice, like, I don't know how many rungs of the ladder there are of like different prods of motivation, from like avoiding like going back into addiction or super failure for yourself.
Right.
And then you have your
right.
welding mentor boss, and then you have, whether it's real or imagined, like which is obviously real, like you're talking about, but the motivation from like, I want to prove people wrong.
Right. Yeah. Nobody thought I would get sober. Nobody thought I would definitely graduate college. You know, and I graduated with like a 3.89 GPA while working full time and having a kid the last 8 months to a year. So like we were working full time, going to school half to 3/4, if not full time, and then raising a kid and starting a family. So
what would you say was like a big lesson you got from maybe one, you kind of already shared a little bit from your job with the welding, and then also from the military? Those should be kind of separate questions, but like maybe military first because you welded after, right?
mm-hmm.
What would you say was like your biggest takeaway from your deployment and your 4 years in the Navy?
Like what was my biggest what I
It could
learned?
be about life, it could be about like discipline, it could be about like perspective, or
the one thing, I mean, there's a lot. Like it taught me how to grow up, and like definitely taught me like a very strong work ethic. Now, like, yeah, I try to, wherever I go, I make myself indispensable, you know, like I'm not gonna be let go, because if they do, it's basically because the business is gonna fail or something like that. But you know, it's pretty much just been more of like, I remember seeing this thing in the military, and it was like, to an extent I get it, but I kind of took it and held on to it, and it was like, don't let this place change you, leave the way you came. And like, I didn't take that as like, it changed me, definitely, you know, but I kind of took it as like, don't let it change you for the negative, because there was a lot of negativity, and you know, it's like, you're out to sea, you don't, there's a lot of divorce in the military.
well, you're getting no sunlight.
Right. You know, it's pretty heavy in divorce, and obviously like suicide now with some of the other things, but I kind of took that as more of like a positive, like it wasn't going to change my morals and beliefs, and which just kind of made me stick to them more. I don't know if it made me more stubborn, but just kind of more of a, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and there's nobody that's going to stop me. You know?
How long? When did you guys move to Rockford?
Probably like, so I met Andrea while I was living in St. Louis Park, and I'm just doing this so I can go back. That was 2009. 2010, we moved to Plymouth in an apartment, and then once we got married, we moved to St. Michael, Albertville, bought a house there, and then in 2013 we moved to Wisconsin, moved back here in 2014, and then I would say 2016 we moved back to Rockford. We moved to Rockford.
So we'll have sweet video.
Oh boy! Oh man!
To cut you for the side-by-side stuff, I want to talk some about like recreation and fun, and like, have you always been into?
What's the model of your side by side?
Yeah,
It's the Razor Pro XP.
because I'd like to talk about some of your South Dakota trips. Or is South Dakota like a main place you guys would go with that? Where else have you guys gone? How long have you guys been doing trips out west with your toys?
Well, Andrea and I have been going out there that was like our first vacation that we had ever been on.
Do you guys do anything fun for your honeymoon?
No, not really. Like, we got married quick, and then we did like a reception after a year later, because we were living together, and like, so the pastor that I met that married us was he was an ex-addict and stuff like that, and he was like, hey, he's like, if you guys are living together,
straight drug dealer,
yeah, he was like, if you're living together, he's like, I want you to get married, and I was like,
get off my back.
Yeah, right. So we got so we got married, and then a year later we did the reception, but then by that time, like, Andrea was already pregnant, like 8 months pregnant, so we didn't waste any time, which was unfortunate, because it was like, man, me and her have never really like got to go on any vacation. We've done a lot of vacations, but like we went to South Dakota once. Like she had never been on vacation ever,
Yeah.
other than what she went with band camp, you know, or,
Yeah.
or band or whatever she was in. So we went there, and then we went to Mexico a couple times, and then she was pregnant with, because I still didn't. I quit everything for a while, like drinking, no drinking, nothing,
Yeah.
and so we'd go down. We went to Mexico a few times, and then she was pregnant with Gavin, and now we go to Florida quite often, and
When you
but
guys
South
go,
Dakota, we've been to South Dakota like 9 times.
where's your favorite spot to go? And you showed me pictures in the gym a while back with that sweet kind of like cliff. Do you guys take trailers out there with this one of them, or do you?
So like we take ours, and then my brother-in-law takes. He's got a
Is
side
this
by
the
side
one that
too.
you were in the military with?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
different
It's
Okay.
the one Andrea's brother.
Okay.
So then they take theirs.
Because your sister married a guy you were in the Navy with, right? Is that what you
Yes.
said?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. They live out in Massachusetts.
Oh, cool. Do you guys ever get out to see them?
When my parents lived there, then we would go out there, but we haven't been out there for a while. So it's just, it kind of sucks, but it's like when we go on vacation, like we go to Florida or we go to South Dakota, or we go, we want to go make a trip down to Moab, Utah.
With these?
Yep.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll come with.
Yeah, it would be really fun. But
Get some amazing
it's hard to
jumpers.
go like, I mean, I don't mean to be an ass, but it's like
You seem
we're
like
not
one.
super close. I know I am, but we're not super close. But it's just one of those things. It's hard to burn up vacation time
To go out
to
east,
go
to kind of just
to
sit
go
down
out to
and
eat.
hang out.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. You guys want to go do stuff.
right. I want to show my kids show them to like what's important in life.
Do you guys take these out to South Dakota more than once a summer, more than once a year?
No, but what we
Try
do
to
is
at
like
least one.
we go out to South Dakota for a week, and then we go up north here probably once a month, once every other weekend or so. We'll go up north and
Jeff, can
ride
you do where in Black Hills did you ride these? I bet there's YouTube videos of
so
people
like
riding these.
see if you can find a camp 5 trail. It's over by, it'll be like Nemo, South Dakota.
Yeah, that sounds like such an amazing trip because we went to this area this fall,
Yep.
me with some good friends, and gotta be just what we did today. Be doing that out in that.
Oh, it's so much more fun
the
when
summer.
you can go. Yeah, when it's not. I mean, when we were in South Dakota last year, it was like 90, 95 degrees the whole time. It hadn't rained. We were eating dirt the whole time, but yeah, it's
Do you guys camp or what do you guys do?
no, we usually rent like a VRBO house and then
and depart from there.
right, like see that Jeep up on the top. It's a lot of like Camp 5 is really some
Rocky.
heavy rock climbing.
That's
like
awesome.
there's some it's pretty fun out there. A lot of rock climbing, and then I mean it's not all, but like this Camp 5, and then there's like a bunch of different paths and trails that off of that. Like one's
guys
called
bring-
like Fruity Pebbles.
Do you bring
and-
your guns out there and shoot stuff?
So we bring our guns, but we haven't
It's gotta be some sweet
shot anything.
because
you
there's
know, just because like
national forest you could go out in there too, right?
yeah,
So
yep. We go down to Custer Park
this
a lot.
This looks like go up for a sec, Jeff. That trail looked pretty. A little bit farther up. I guess those are ATVs in the top left. But
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
a lot
those
of
are
people
sick.
bring their Jeeps out
that
there
would be
and
fun
do
to
some.
roll that guy.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
right?
it's a death
Yeah,
trap.
right. Yeah, there's some pretty cool Jeeps out there too.
Up north, Minnesota's got to be. Where do you guys go up north? with
We
the
go
side-by-side?
to so if we go to like Mille Lacs, there you can take the Sioux line up, and there's like a couple like red top trail, I believe it's called. There's like little trails off of those. Otherwise, we go to our new one is kind of like we go up to Emily. It's like Emily Outing. There's a big trail up there. It's up by Reamer.
You try to go up north and to South Dakota like once a summer.
We go up north probably once or twice a month.
Oh, cool.
So
With these,
yep,
awesome.
yeah.
Do you have anything planned for South Dakota this next summer yet?
We're going in June 10th through the 18th.
Okay. And then you said up north quite a bit, because I'm thinking
Yeah.
up north for sure. I could go up and meet you guys. Do
Oh,
my
yeah.
own camping thing, come by, fly the drone,
Yeah.
get some sweet
Yeah.
footage.
And we usually rent like pretty sweet places, like, 3-4 bedroom places up there if we go up north, or we rent like God, what's this place called? There's a decent little campground. It's not a campground, but it's like it is for a bunch of different. He's got a bunch of houses and cabins that we go stay up there. I can't remember what the name of that place is, but I mean, we do that quite often.
Yeah, I definitely want to link up in the summer and get some sweet stuff.
Yeah, we could definitely. There's some burying my machine footage. Like, I mean, like I stepped out, like I buried it. Like I had to take the kids out through the doors and like
Buried in what?
Mud.
Oh,
I sunk down and like I went to go grab my winch on the front, and I was like almost to my waist in water, and then I was
Wow.
like, okay,
does
well,
that
we
wreck
just
the engine?
no, as long as the intake doesn't go in, and like I was kind of forward more, so my exhaust wasn't under, which then if it was, I would just keep it running and that would be okay. But as long as your intake doesn't suck in too much water.
I think it would be fun if we did a part 2 in the next, like the
Yep.
next like 4 or 5 months after meeting up on doing like a fun weekend
Yeah.
trip of meeting up and
Oh
hanging
yeah,
out. But yeah, I think that's a good place to bookmark until round number 2.
yeah,
So, Mr. Nick Thomas, thanks for being on Soul Discovery
yeah.
with Dom, episode number 3. Let's go get some sweet drone footage of the side-by-side.
Sweet. Thanks for
You're
having
the
me.
man. Excited for the future adventures.
Yeah, for sure.
And, yeah. Cool. And scene. Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna do those anymore.
Yeah. We're down the fun spots.
Snow's cold, huh?
Nah, it's worth it.